Hello, everyone. We're back. He abandoned us again. Also, again, with no warning to us, except for like one day.
Yeah,
Toxic, I know.
it was pretty toxic.
So we're back on the Shrek grind, which isn't even Shrek this time, but kind of.
Same universe.
Yeah. Puss in Boots, 2011, is the movie that we're talking about. Just like everything after Shrek 2, this is another one I hadn't seen, but I did hear from people that it wasn't that good. And I feel like it was overhated, honestly. I thought it was fine.
Yeah, I thought it was a decent movie.
I think it was probably the least funny so far, but it was like cool still, you know?
I don't think it was trying to be funny.
Yeah, I mean, there was the occasional like joke, but it definitely didn't seem like the focus was funny like the Shrek movies. It seemed like it was more about like being cool, and it was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. And actually,
decent fight scenes.
it was pretty cool because I actually saw Puss in Boots: Last Wish before I saw this, so it gave that movie like so much more context.
Well, we might be doing that one soon. I'm not sure when he comes back, so
I hope so.
be the next episode if
movie.
if he's not back. Yep. Yeah, I liked it. Puss in Boots is my favorite character of the Shreks, so I liked his movie. It was cool. They got Humpty Dumpty.
They do.
He's pretty cool, I guess. He's just a little egg guy.
We got the Puss in Boots origin story.
Yes, actually, that was cool. I like that.
Have to figure out how he got his name. Where
He was
came
an
from.
orphan.
Mm-hmm.
No, you kind of don't know where he came from still. You know.
Where he was raised, at the least.
Yeah, that's true. Someone just got rid of him, and then he was left at a human orphanage, and they raised him as a human.
Yeah, and he was walking around and speaking. It was pretty funny watching like kid him walk.
I wonder why he speaks Spanish, though, if the orphanage people didn't.
I think they do. Or like the same way how he speaks Spanish in like parts.
Then why does Egg Boy not speak Spanish? Whatever.
Because Egg Boy
but...
Egg Boy didn't want to be in part of it. Like he hated that place.
Yeah, that's true. They were homies. They grew up together.
They were blood brothers.
Kind of. One was Yolk.
Yeah, well. They're equivalents.
They started Bean Club. Because Dumpty's like one thing, he was always looking for magic beans so that they could get to the magic eggs and be rich and not be orphans in a shitty town.
From the Golden Goose, from the Giants.
Yeah. So that was their goal. That they grew up as little kids, always stealing random beans, but it never was the magic beans.
Yes, and then would grow them and document them.
Yeah, it was pretty cool, actually, I thought.
Yeah, and then like as it goes on, as they get older, you start to see like their antics get bigger and bigger. And
yeah, they're just kind of like messing around now.
Yeah, and they like the police bring them or the guards bring them home, and like they get a stern talking to, and they're like, one more time and you're going to jail.
Classic, dude, classic. And then they're like sitting on the roof. They've given up pretty much on the beans. They're like, we're never gonna find it. And he's just like throwing rocks and has some like crazy bounce that causes like an insane chain reaction that results in some lady probably dying.
Yeah, that was insane. He like threw a rock and just got super unlucky and like ended up hitting a lock that was holding a bull back. And the bull ended up charging some old lady. So then like Puss just reacted. And like grabbed the bull's horns and like redirected it. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, and then he was like the hero of the town. He got boots and a hat.
Because the old lady happened to be the governor's
mom of the guy in charge of the police.
Mm-hmm.
Also, when he was little, I thought it was so funny No explanation. How like for the first couple days he was at the orphanage, he just wouldn't talk.
Yeah.
And then eventually he's like, "Oh, you can talk."
And then he just like, not even like a kid voice, it's just his normal voice.
Yeah, it's just a meow. He was pretty cute though.
He was.
I always think in all of these Shrek movies, it's cool to see like other fairy tales too. Like that's always nice.
Yeah, I like to see their interpretations.
Jack and Jill are evil because like basically what happens is that's like his backstory, and then we find out that Humpty Dumpty is pissed because now he's like, well, Puss in Boots doesn't care about me anymore now that he's the hero of this town. He's not trying to get out. He won't rob anymore. I'm pissed.
Well, that, and then because when there was a night when Humpty tricked Puss to help him like steal from a bank.
Yeah, well, that was later. We didn't get to that yet.
Oh,
because did he not get put into like jail for, or like at least some kind of thing for the bull thing? Like he was punished for that?
No, he was just upset that Puss started getting attention. So then he stopped wanting to like do crime with him because he was deemed the hero of the town. So then one night he was like, "Please like help me rob this place," and he was like, "No, I'm not gonna rob again." But then he tricked him and he was like, "I actually owe these people money. Wait, please help me." So then they went out and like stole a cart full of cash. And
what happened was he was just like, "Help me get over this wall. I gotta run away." And then he helps him over the wall, and then he looks 2 inches to his side, and it says bank, and he's like, "Fuck!
Yeah.
If only I looked that way sooner."
So then he like ends up escaping with him because the guards come.
Yeah, they're like, Puss is robbing the bank with him, and he's like, "Crap! Now I gotta get out of here now."
And then they're fleeing, and then on a bridge they end up crashing. Humpty falls down, and the guards are right behind them. And with like Humpty begging Puss for help, he like turns and jumps off the bridge, leaving him there because he can't stand up on his own because he's an egg. And that was
he is an egg, yeah.
And that was the reason why he was so upset at Puss, because he got thrown into jail because he left him behind.
But he was already upset with him previously.
Yeah, but that's where the revenge stemmed from.
Yeah. Kinda.
I
mean, the main part, yes.
Because he wanted him to rot in jail too. That's why at the end of the movie, he set him up with all the guards.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of jumping around, but yeah. He also just like jumped off that bridge. It was pretty crazy.
Yeah, it was actually. Like, no idea if he was going to live or not.
Maybe he didn't want to live. I feel like Puss is such a huge badass in this movie too, which I like.
Yeah, he was pretty cool.
So then we get like that's like the flashback that happens, but then like the movie actually begins with Puss is trying to find some money to clear his name, I guess. Because originally he's not looking specifically for the eggs, he's looking just for money. Until eventually he like goes into this local bar or whatever, and he's like asking around for a job, and he finds out that someone has a lead on the beans, and he's like, "What the hell, the beans? I could clear my name with this." So he follows the beans, finds out Jack and Jill have them. He goes to stalk the place, and he runs into Kitty Softpaws there.
Yeah.
Who, she's pretty cool too. I liked her.
Yeah.
She's like literally just as badass as him. They're like pretty similar.
She's actually a better thief, I'd say. She's able to take
but his thing isn't necessarily
thievery.
A thief. He's is more like just sword fighting, you know?
Yeah.
So they run into each other. They have like a little competition there. They get spotted. They have to retreat, and then you find out that he then chases her down. And he's pissed that she got him caught when he was trying to get the beans.
They have a funny
and they have like this
fight.
weird, this crazy dance off where somehow they were jumping off each other's feet in the air. It was so weird.
It's fairy tale magic, dude.
And then you find out eventually that she's been like hired by Humpty, and then that's when you get like the flashback.
Mm-hmm. And like they have like,
Eventually,
like a,
sorry, go.
him and like Soft Paws have a heart to heart, and they're like, why do you hate him so much? He's like, let me tell you my whole life story.
But she didn't really care though.
Yeah,
He was just
when he was done, she was snoring.
yeah. But eventually they form like a trio where they all group up as a team and they go on their quest to find the beans because he's like, fine, I'll get the beans. I need the beans. I still hate him, but
I'm doing this for the town and for his mom, not for you.
yeah. So they go forward to find the beans. Leads them to like the middle of a desert somewhere. Well, no, they're chasing Jack and Jill is what it is, and it's
Jack and Jill.
Actually, yeah.
There's a certain place that has to be planted, and Jack and Jill are heading there.
Yeah, and actually, I think this is probably my favorite scene in the movie. Was like that whole cart robbery thing. I thought that was so cool.
That was a funny side story with Jack wanting kids and Jill not having it. She was like, "See this baby pig? It's good enough."
I like how they were kind of the enemies, but not even really. Like they were just occasionally there.
Yeah, they were only the enemies because they were stealing from them.
Yeah. But it's a pretty badass scene. Puss and Kitty go and they're like robbing the freaking like a wagon.
Yeah,
while it's in progress.
Because Jack has the beans in his hand, like locked in a box.
Yeah. And they like break into the wagon, but it's full of pigs, so they can't wake up the pigs. But then I can't remember why. Oh, because she can't pick the lock. He's like, why don't you use your claws? And she didn't have claws.
She's taking too much time with the sword. He was like, just use your claws. He's like, I don't have them. And we find out that like she was from a loving family. And then for whatever reason, one day they just were like, all right, we're going to declaw you. And they did.
Yeah, I think that was supposed to be a sad story, but it wasn't really that sad.
Yeah, but I guess for a cat, like, declawing them is kind of mean. It is like their defense thing, and you're just stripping that away from them.
Yeah, but I think they should have kept... They should have had more in the story. Like, they never mentioned how she is now not with that family, right?
Yeah, I'm assuming she was just so abhorred that they declawed her that she left.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. But I feel like they should have focused on that too. You know, like now that
it leaves questions open.
But she doesn't have claws. She couldn't pick the locks. And then there's like a cool scene where, or not scene, but like part of that scene where when she yells that, like, what's his name? Jack turns around and Puss like drops down. And it was pretty cool.
Yeah, he was like doing splits. And he was like,
yeah, but still like down. Holding him up.
Yeah,
it is sick. And then what?
Another funny part was when Puss went to go unlock it. Because they ended up like Kitty ended up needing help because they were running out of time. When Puss used his claws, he got them all instantly.
Yeah. It was pretty nice. But then they get it open, they get the beans, they're going to leave, and he steps on a pig's tail or something. He somehow hits a pig, I can't remember exactly. And but the pig doesn't like fully wake up. They're like, relax, pig.
I'm trying to rock it back to sleep.
Yeah, eventually they're spotted and up in these chairs that Jack and Jill do this crazy like drop down spin thing.
It was when Jack and Jill are riding on the cart, just their heads are sticking out and their entire bodies are inside. So then when they pull a lever, they just drop down.
Yeah, it was funny.
It was.
Then it turns into like this badass cart fight scene. So they're like dropping the beans, they're bouncing all over the place, they're trying to grab them. The two then Humpty Dumpty pulls up in their own cart. The carts are hitting each other. It's crazy.
Jack and Jill's cart had cannons on it.
Yeah, where were those cannons when they were inside?
I was thinking that too.
And who's shooting it? The pigs?
Yeah, the baby pigs are just loading cannonballs.
It was funny though. It's like so ridiculous that you're like, what the heck? Eventually they lead to
Humpty's
like, we got to get to the bridge. And Puss gets all the fucking beans back finally that somehow never fell off the cart, but were just bouncing around in it and on it.
They're magic.
Yeah, he recovers them. And we see in the flashback earlier that Humpty's like an inventor.
Yeah, he's like, oh, what's that? I can't think of the inventor from the Assassin's Creed. Leonardo da Vinci.
Yeah,
with like his flyers.
Famous artist.
Yeah, because I couldn't remember his name. But,
yeah, pretty much actually with that like contraption he makes in Assassin's Creed.
mm-hmm.
So they're like, but there's no bridge, Humpty, no. And he drives off. And then there's a bunch of crazy Transformer moments in this movie. Then their thing transforms into like a plane and it like grabs the horse and throws it inside the cart.
Yeah, it was pretty. Because I was thinking about that when they were going to the bridge. I'm like, maybe the cart's going to fly or something. But what about the horse? Is it going to be dangling there?
They're just going to drop the horse.
But no, they brought the horse inside the cart. And it was kind of cool how visually they made sense because the cart looks like one of those carts from like the Oregon Trail. I don't know how else to describe it. And then like the sides are the like fold up and become wings. Like it kept most of the shape.
Yes.
I just thought that was a nice design.
I agree. And then so then they're free. They kind of just keep moving on to the planting location. They plant the seeds. Everything seems cool. They're all homies. They've bonded a little bit now. They don't seem to be like constantly hating each other. And it grows a tiny little plant.
Yeah.
What happens next, Bert?
So after they planted it, they like nothing happened at first, I think. Oh no, a little sprout came up.
There's a tiny plant.
A little sprout came up and they're like, that's it? But then I forget who says it, but they were like, well, you got to talk to plants.
Yeah, it's Kitty's like, I read that you could talk to plants.
It's good for them. So then they say like hi plant.
It's a single word or something.
They're like, hi. And then it just, this enormous beanstalk sprouts and like a lightning storm happens. And the tornado forms. It's like the most insane magic. And then like the second the tornado touches the ground, the beanstalk shoots up into the air and carries them into the heavens. It's wild.
It was pretty cool, actually. And then they're like just trying to fight to stay on it, like so they don't plummet to the ground.
Yeah, I think the plant was kind of helping them. Or they just got
Humpty
super lucky.
was definitely lucky because he's the only one who couldn't have gotten back on if he fell.
Yeah, it's true. He got like wedged inside the vines.
Yeah.
And then when they made it to the top, and then their voices were like high pitched because it sounds like they had helium.
I'm so glad that did not last long. I was like, is this going to be the entire section of them like this?
Yeah. So then they discover that they can walk on clouds, and they have like a little snowball or cloud fight, cloud ball fight. And
yes.
And then they see the castle, the giant's castle off in the distance. So they ride a cloud there, I'm pretty sure.
I don't remember, but yeah, I think so. Actually, they ride a cloud there. You see that this apparently this castle seems to be what generates clouds for the whole world.
Yeah, that was pretty cool looking. And then Puss is worried about the giant living there, and Humpty's like, he's been dead for years. Haven't heard the stories.
Good.
Yeah, and he actually quotes like the chapter from Jack and the Beanstalk where the giant falls and dies. And then they make their way to
they just walk in. They're looking around. It seems pretty dangerous in here. They have like this chasm they need to cross. And how did they like get across? They shoot something across, right? What were they shooting?
Like a zip line? No,
yeah, I know that, but like, how did they? Oh, they opened a bottle.
Yeah, they opened a champagne bottle.
Yeah. And they tied a rope to the cork and shot the rope across and
everything's huge.
And Kitty across. And then they tied it to a tree or like wedged it in a tree and then had Humpty zip line.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Pretty cool.
And then they end up like fighting the room where the golden eggs are.
But right before that, they're like, there's like earthquake noises, and they had to hide in like a log.
Oh yeah, because
And
of the beast.
Yeah, he's like, it's the beast. If you look at it, you turn to stone, which is actually not true based on the rest of the movie. But to be fair, he does say, at least that's what they say. No one ever actually lived.
Mm-hmm. I feel like we would have, if people turned to stone, we would have saw statues around like that place.
So eventually the beast leaves, and they keep looking for this golden goose, and they like roll down a hill into a like field of eggs, golden eggs.
Yeah, and Humpty
puts on a golden suit because he's like, I'll blend in perfectly.
Yeah, he has like a spandex suit on.
And he's like 5 times the size.
It's been squeaking the whole time he's been walking. I just remembered.
True.
And then like they find the golden goose.
And it loves him because he's a golden egg. Fake golden egg.
So it sits on him.
They're like, let's just take the goose. These eggs are too heavy. And then he's like, isn't that bad? If we take the goose, won't something happen? They're like, nah, let's take it. And then they take it.
And then did they get out pretty easily, or did the beast chase them out?
They get knocked into like water, don't they?
Oh yeah, they get like flushed out.
When they're going across the zip line, it snaps the line on them.
Yes, I remember.
And they fall into the chasm.
Yeah.
And then they're like trying not to drown, and they eventually come out of like the cloud generator. And they're like, wow, close one. But we did it. We got the goose. But then they're actually still falling to their death. This is a pretty badass scene, actually. And like Puss and Kitty are doing like this crazy stuff to get leaves and use them as parachutes. And Humpty's just falling and hoping the goose can fly, but it can't.
And then when Kitty catches Humpty and the goose, Puss trying to show off, like, knocks the parachute out of her hands. And then they can start falling again.
Yeah, that was funny. Then they form like a 4-person hang glider with the leaf, land on the ground, and it's like, hell yeah, we did it. We got the golden goose.
Let's chop
they're
this
sitting
thing
there
down.
talking, and they've all bonded again. And he's like, feels good to have my brother back. And he's like, hell yeah, dude. Egg and Puss. They're friends again.
What a weird combo.
And then, yeah, it was just a nice moment, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
They had their little campfire. They were dancing. Pretty sick.
Yeah, so then they chop down the beanstalk, right?
Yeah, they're like, we should probably cut this down so no one goes up there.
So when they chop it down, it falls.
How did they do that, though?
I don't know. They're swords.
I guess it probably took forever, though.
That took them all night. Because then in the morning, when the beanstalk finally fell, it landed right in front of Jack and Jill. And they were like, we should probably go this way.
You do see a moment at that night, though, when they're partying, where Kitty's like, I should tell you something, and she doesn't tell him.
I think she's like, you should go. And he's like, why would I want to go?
Yeah. But she ends up not telling him.
Mm-hmm.
Then the morning comes, like you said, Jack and Jill in the middle of the night, or in the morning, I mean, just beat the shit out of Puss, knock him out in a single hit. And he wakes up and he's like, everyone's gone. What the hell? He sees the footprints. He's like, Jack and Jill.
Surrounded by vultures.
And then he's like, I'm not dead. Classic villain. They should have just killed him.
Yeah, honestly, why do they let something else do it?
Classic mistake. So then he has to track them down. And for some reason, he decides they're going to be in his hometown. I'm not sure why.
I'm not too sure.
But
maybe because he knew. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. But they end up going to his hometown. And he's like, it's Jack and Jill. I see them. And he's seeing like through the shadow of them beating up Humpty. And he's like, they must have him. And then he comes around the corner and it was all a prank. They pranked him the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's like, I've been there all along, and it flashbacks to every scene in the movie, but now with Humpty Dumpty in a terrible disguise right behind the focus of the scene. That was pretty funny.
Like when like the cat, he was just like in a shitty cat costume.
Yeah, it's like so obvious.
I almost wanted to go back to those scenes and see if he was actually there.
He wasn't.
You don't think so?
They were so obvious.
Maybe.
He was not there. Yeah, so he played him and he's like, I can't believe it. And then the whole town turns on him. His mom says he's disappointed in him. And then they're like, you need to get arrested now. And then he surrenders. And then he sees Kitty as he's like arrested.
He was about to fight them. But then his mom was like, just stop fighting. So then he stops.
He's like, but I didn't do it. And then he cries as they lock him in a cage, throw him in jail with, what's his name?
Jack. Yeah,
real Jack.
The actual
Jack. And he's like, I used to have magic beans. The Jack that took out the giant, I guess.
Mm-hmm. How do you get more beans? Out, did he have 6?
Maybe he just got the beans from the last beanstalk.
Maybe.
So then Puss finds out all this information from real Jack. He's like, yeah, the mom of the goose is the monster. And if you take the goose, you die because it'll attack you.
Yeah, the mom woke up looking for her baby.
He's like, what? No, we have to save the town. I have to get out of here. But then he can't get out of there. And then Kitty saves him.
Mm-hmm.
Leaves him his boots.
And his sword and his hat.
And then Jack runs away. So then they come out. It's basically like the idea is pretty much dragon, I think. But it's a big goose.
Yeah, I'm happy there's no horse or donkey nearby.
Yeah. He like goes to confront Humpty Dumpty on like top of this tower where he's forming eggs and just distributing them to the town.
Because he gives like every citizen a golden egg.
Yeah.
Which, talk about inflation.
Yeah, why would... And also, it's just one golden egg. Like, it's not like you can cut it up, you know? Like, you still would have to do an all or nothing purchase.
You can melt it and then make it, like, smaller.
Well, that depends if they're, like, real eggs and... Or are they just gold all the way through? Like, does an animal come out of it? You know?
That's true. Even then, just... I'm sure you could smash the shell.
Maybe.
It's only gold. Like, it's not like diamond.
Yeah. So they have like a big conversational fight up there, and he makes like Humpty change his mind. It was pretty cool. He's like, but it's too late, Puss. It's too late. As the goose is flying into town.
You can see the shadow of it on the clouds.
Yeah. What did he say that convinced him? I can't even remember. It was like, he said sorry, pretty much.
He was like, show me that you're still a good egg. And he was like, I ain't good enough.
That was kind of sad, actually.
Yeah, it was. I actually kind of
like, I'm a bad egg. The ending, yeah, we'll get to it. So then he decides to help him, and the two boys are back together. Humpty's distracting the goose to like help them lead it out of town, and then I don't know that he's supposed to give them the baby back, and they hope it leaves.
Yeah, well, they like tie the baby onto the cart. Puss runs to go get the mama goose's attention, and like, hey, your baby's over there. So then, Humpty has to ride the baby goose out of town while the other one's following.
But they end up in a very similar situation as their past, where there's like, just this huge bridge accident.
Yeah, no, it's like a direct mirror.
Yeah, except this time the bridge is destroyed in the process.
Mm-hmm. And
I'm actually surprised that they went through with that ending, and I'm happy about it.
Yeah, me too.
Because the bridge is destroyed, Humpty it falls off the bridge, Puss falls off the bridge, and the baby golden goose is falling, and Puss has Humpty in one hand and the goose in the other, and he's like, I'm not gonna leave you this time. But he's like clearly stuck, he can't do anything.
Mm-hmm. So then then the rope starts to tear.
Yeah, and then Humpty's like looking at that, and he's like,
You can't save us both.
yeah, and he's like, I will, I can, or something like that, which was pretty sad, honestly, to hear him say. And then he's like, I can't leave you, and he's like, or I won't leave you, and then Humpty's like, I know you won't, and then he drops himself.
He's like, I don't want you to make that decision, so I will, or something. And he like drops.
Yeah, so he drops himself and he falls to his death. We'll get back to that later, and then that results in Puss being able to do this like crazy flip up and catch the goose and give it to its
He
mom.
kind of defied physics here. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, and then they go away, and then they look over at where Humpty had fallen to his death and died, and it's a golden egg, and they're like, wow, he was a golden egg all along, because the whole movie everyone's like, he's a rotten egg or something.
Yeah. So like, was he just on the inside golden?
What I understood it as was since he was at the orphanage too, that he was like a lost egg from the top. That's why he like, when they got there, he was like, man, I feel like I'm at home finally. Because he was like lost, I guess, maybe during the last Jack attack on like the beanstalk place, and just because he grew up in the normal world, he like started to look like a real egg.
Maybe.
And that's also why the goose liked him, and that's why they took him, because they were bringing him home. That's what I thought it was.
I don't know. I thought maybe he finally got a good costume.
No, I don't think so. I think he literally was a golden egg. That's where he came from. And he just, no one knew. He was at the orphanage because they didn't know where he came from, but that's where he came from, I thought.
That would make sense why he's so obsessed with getting back there, even if he didn't really know why.
Yeah, I don't think he knew either. It was cool. He was good on the inside, very literally.
I did like it.
And then Kitty Softpaws is there, and they're like, yay, we did it, woohoo.
Yeah.
And he's famous in the town.
I think the citizens love him. The guards hate him. They try to arrest him at the end.
Yeah, they still want to arrest him because I guess he destroyed the whole bridge, kind of.
Yeah, he caused a lot of destruction, him and his brother.
But the whole orphanage loves him. His mom now knows he's not evil.
Yeah, he's redeemed to the people that matters. So then him
and Kitty stay as outlaws.
And they run away together. And they have a funny like dance thing where they're dodging weapons.
Yeah, and they do the same dancing on each other's feet in the air somehow.
Yeah, to gain extra airtime. It's like a double jump.
It was good. Yeah, I liked it. I thought overall it was good. I think I probably liked it more than Shrek. Whichever one has the magic. Which one is that? Not the magic, like changing his past.
3.
Is that Forever After?
Yeah.
Which Shreks did we watch? We watched 1, 2, the third, and Forever After, didn't we?
Yeah, because the first one... Oh my god. The first one was... I remember the first one. It was with Dragon.
Yeah, everyone knows the first
Princess
one.
Fiona.
Second one's Peak. Third one is where they go to get the new king, and then he has kids at the end.
Yeah, with Arthur.
And then the fourth one, Forever After, is where he doesn't want kids anymore.
Yeah.
I think I liked it more than the fourth one. And maybe the third one, actually. But 1 and 2 still top this.
I agree with you, honestly.
I think I'd give it probably a 7. A good.
Yeah, 7. Solid 7.
Let's go.
I actually am so surprised I've never seen this movie. Because I liked Shrek growing up. I had all the movies but this.
Oh, really? I didn't know you'd never seen this one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I'm surprised why it's so hated. I feel like, in general, the Shrek movies are hated after 2. And
I think it's because of how good 2 was.
Yeah, I guess so.
People at the time were like, all of the other movies must be absolute masterpieces.
Yeah, because 2 is like one of the top tiers of animated movies. But the rest of them are fine. Like, there's nothing worse than a 5.
Yeah, like, they're enjoyable watches, and they hold up. Like, they don't really feel like they've aged terribly. Okay, one thing I do want to say, for a kid's movie, they are kind of crude.
Yeah, but I think they've been getting less crude with every one.
Yeah, like the early ones are more crude, but that is something like to keep a note of.
But yeah, I don't think, at least so far, none of them are bad. And apparently Last Wish is actually the best of any of them. So we'll see how that goes.
I really liked Last Wish. I don't know if it's better than Shrek 2, though.
Yeah, I wouldn't know, but it definitely they feel different, like different series, Shrek versus Puss in Boots, at least based on the first one. Like, Puss in Boots feels more serious to me than Shrek.
I kind of want it to be like that because in like Shrek, Puss was introduced as like this bounty hunter guy.
Yeah.
And Shrek is just a guy in a swamp that married a princess. Like they should be more like lighthearted just because of the fact that they're like a princess versus a bounty hunter. Especially if it's like in the context of a fairy tale world. To me, it makes sense.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I kind of agree with that too. That pretty much covers the whole movie. What did you say you wanted to rate it?
A 7. A good 7.
Oh, okay. So let's get to some minor news. Hopefully fill out another 5-10 minutes here. I only got a couple things though, unfortunately. One of them you already know about. It was the Helldivers movie that was recently said is in the works. Who knows if that'll actually come out. There's always some video game movie that they're like, we're making this, and then it either doesn't come out or it comes out 10 years later when no one cares anymore.
It'd be like Borderlands.
It could be bad too, yeah. But
there's another video game movie coming out.
Yeah, Horizon, a game that was popular 10 years ago.
Well,
just like I said, this shit that fucking they take so long to do it. I don't know
if it's a movie or a show, but BioShock is getting something.
Yeah, all of these are so maybe though, because the BioShock one specifically has been talked about for a while. You know, like so many of these things end up never happening.
Okay.
Out of these though, Helldivers could be cool, but I could also see that just because people are so dumb. Like, I could see it causing controversy because people will, like, be too stupid to understand that it's, like, a joke, you know? Because they're so aggressively, like, socialist, you know?
Yeah. It's like...
But, like, that's the point. They're meant to... Exactly. Like, that's the point. They're supposed to be...
like insanely patriotic and, like, dumb.
Yeah.
And hoorah. I don't know how to describe it.
It's just... that's the whole point. It's supposed to be exaggerated. So we'll see if that actually happens. I'll be interested to see it. I hope it's not bad. But, you know, not a good track record on video game stuff.
It is unfortunate because it would be so nice to have good adaptations.
I mean, they exist. There's definitely more good ones now than there used to be. You know, there's Fallout.
Yeah, they're starting to figure it out. That's for sure.
But there's still the bad ones, like Borderlands or Uncharted. There's probably more, but
Resident
we'll
Evil.
See how it goes.
That Netflix show.
I never watched that, but yeah,
I heard
apparently
it was terrible.
That's bad. Is that the one with furry porn?
I couldn't tell you.
I remember one of them, like, I remember seeing people were like, there's literal furry porn in this video game adaptation. And it was like, what the hell? Why is that in there?
I want that on my screen.
The other one, and this one I think is kind of tragic, is Halo again. Shocker.
Oh, no.
I really think Halo is like... I can literally only think of one other, like, IP that's been absolutely... destroyed like Halo, and it's Star Wars. I think Star Wars fans might be the only people who have it worse, you know?
I think so, yeah.
But so I think I told you the beginning of this, but there's more of it. Basically, there was this team of like independent modders and stuff that were working on these projects for Halo. They were like getting all this cut content for from old games like the Halo 2
I can guess
E3 demo and stuff like that. What's that?
I feel like I can guess what's about to happen.
Well, Microsoft and 343 at the time, which is now Halo Studios, started taking an interest in it and advertising that on their MCC page and stuff, being like, this stuff's coming out, and they would actually talk to them and things like that, which is kind of cool until you realize that apparently, because it got so bad now that team completely, like, almost completely disbanded and refuses to work with them anymore. But apparently, as they were doing all this stuff, 343 or Halo Studios would, like, pressure them into being like, not technically, but like, you got to get this done for us to show here. But it's like they're not getting paid or anything, but
they're implementing deadlines, even though they're still actually being employees.
Not really deadlines, like hard deadlines, but just like implying, you know?
Yeah, I get it.
Like, just like pressuring them all the time.
That's so toxic. Just make it yourself.
They were talking about in some kind of interview or something how, like, when they had first been reached out to by them, that like they took notice and said something about how, oh, your guys' work you've done on like these cut Halo things or the E3 demo have like immense value. But then, like, when they started asking to like get some kind of payment or something, they were told that their work didn't count as real work.
That's so mean.
So they're like, what the hell? We work like 8 to 12 hours for free daily.
That's kind of messed up.
Yeah,
they were like helping your game and like we're doing so much for it. And you even said that they were providing value, but not enough to pay them.
And what's funny about it too is I saw like they asked a bunch of the people who left and stopped working on that, like, what is the main reason you left? And actually, even above financial was just that they said the people there didn't respect them and didn't consider them actual developers in any way and thought they were a joke.
Yeah, that would do it for a lot of people, I feel like. Most people, especially because they were already doing it for free to begin with, they don't really care about the money. But for like the company, a lot of them
said we didn't, because they had agreed to do it for free, so that wasn't their problem at first, until they were starting to now be asked to do more than they originally said. Like, their exact things were like, yeah, we were fine with doing the Halo 2, Halo 1 stuff, but when it got to games like Halo Reach or 4, like, it became such a massive amount of work, it wasn't something that we could do for free and sustain our lives.
Mm-hmm.
And on top of that, being told that you're a joke.
Yeah, like that would be the line.
So now it's like a big thing. Everyone's like, wow, they really, all the like good faith they got from like switching their name and saying we got all new people, they really speed ran destroying that and proving that they're
just the same. Yeah, the same company, just a new label.
I just don't understand, like, it doesn't make sense to me, like, how they fumble so hard so regularly. Like, you think they'd be, you don't have to care, just lie, you know? Like,
yeah.
You can at least pretend to not get caught. Like, you look like an idiot so often, you know?
Mm-hmm. But I think it's because most people don't actually care.
Maybe.
Like, the majority of gamers will just buy it and continue to buy Halo.
That's not even true, though. Halo's numbers go down with every game. Like,
yeah,
Halo's in the worst spot it's ever been. It's continually got less and less popular with every mistake they've made. And they keep doing it. And it's like the very small wins they have, which are the community fucking doing stuff for them, like making the entire playable original Halo demo, or the entire E3 Halo 2 demo, or every single map released for Halo Infinite in the last like 2 years is made by the community in Forge or mods or whatever, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And they're still like, fuck you guys. So basically, Halo sucks.
Fall
and it
off
probably
of
will keep sucking.
The decade, the century.
Except Star Wars might be past it. That's the only thing I can think of personally that I think like plummeted even harder because they were even higher. Halo was the top of video games, sure, at one point, but Star Wars was like the top of media, and now
That's
a new
true.
Star Wars show comes out and no one watches it. Like
Yeah. Damn.
they just make too many of those shows, I think, honestly.
They definitely diluted it. Like they did
It's
with
like
Marvel
similar
for
to
a while.
Marvel. Yeah, exactly.
All those shows, I did not watch them all. There were just too many. And a lot of
Yeah, I'm
mediocre
not
ones,
caught
so
up
I was
on the
afraid to
Marvel
waste
ones.
my time.
Yeah, it sucks because they actually started off all right, kind of. Like, they were at least watchable. But you can only do so many of those.
She-Hulk broke me. Watching
For
that.
me, it was Secret Invasion.
Oh, yeah, actually, no, you're right. Secret Invasions was so much worse.
I never watched She-Hulk. She-Hulk and Echo are the two I haven't seen.
I don't know, there's just something about watching She-Hulk and Megan Thee Stallion twerking at the end of an episode that was like, wow, is this really what Iron Man died for?
No, he died for thinking, hold on, there's a good one. No Way Home. It's a good one.
Yeah, it was a good one. That was
They
before.
actually did all right after.
Was that out? Yeah, that was out.
Yeah. The couple right after Endgame were okay. Like...
I think they still had a plan, but then once they started trying to do their new stuff, it just disintegrated.
Yeah. I really think they should have taken more time off and like...
Storyboarded?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't even know. It's just... I think really the shows just bodied it. Like... But then the movies weren't great either,
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think of good movies since Endgame, and it's like Spider-Man, Shang-Chi. Those are the ones that I can remember. What else was there? There was Eternals. That was mid. I think that's hated more than it actually was bad, though, but it still wasn't anything special. The new Black Panther, everyone seems to love that. I thought it was fine, I guess. It was just okay. I just can't think of anything really. Thor, yeah,
Marvels.
Worst one. Marvels, Ant-Man, like those are terrible. Terrible.
Deadpool. Oh, no,
It's a shame.
That's not yet.
But, better than Star Wars, I guess, because
At least they're recovering it slowly.
at least they have the occasional good one.
Yeah.
Star
Wars hasn't
is
been good in a while.
Yeah, that's true. Also
I heard
with Star
Andor was
Wars,
decent.
but the problem with Star Wars compared to Marvel is like at least with Marvel you could be like watch up to Endgame or maybe No Way Home and then stop, and it can feel like a complete story. Whereas Star Wars, they jump around the timeline so much, it's like they kind of ruin even previous things because they're throwing stories in the middle of
Yeah,
things,
that's true. Like you can't watch the original 6 movies after watching what's it called, the new Obi-Wan Kenobi show, because then that so much happened. Like he already knows and has met
It's
Princess Leia, and she's already had a brush with the Empire, and still hasn't been figured out that she's I think she is Force sensitive or something.
Yeah, she uses the Force in one of the sequel movies, which everyone was mad about. I'm not a big Star Wars guy. I don't know what's toxic and what's not, but there's too much of it for me to watch.
Mm-hmm.
There's just so much content there, and it's also there's really no good order either, because if you want to watch it chronologically, you're jumping between movies and shows, and then show half of one show to half of another show. It's insane,
Yeah, it's almost not worth doing.
Yeah, but what can you do? I think that pretty much wraps things up here, though, unless you have anything else.
No, I don't think so.
Well, thanks everyone. Puss in Boots was pretty decent. We'll see how the next one is. If we do it, I'm not sure if he'll be back yet or not. If he's not here, it'll be Puss in Boots. If he is here, I think we should do our top. Well, we will do that, but there's something we need to do that we were gonna do, but we didn't do because he left. Was we never did our top lists of last year of stuff.
Oh yeah.
We need to do like top 5 movies or games or whatever, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But he dodged us, so we couldn't.
With no warning.
So that's our next 3, though, probably. Well, if he comes back, Puss in Boots will be reserved for next time he abandons us. But if he isn't here next week, Puss in Boots. After that, we will do our lists. If he is here, that'll be next week. And then after that, yeah, probably Wild Robot. Unless something huge is coming out around then, I don't know. But right now, it's looking like Wild Robot.
Alrighty.
Cool. See ya.
Keep it salty.